Hello, America. Welcome to the World Religion Spotlight. I am your anchor, Paul Burke. The topic of the evening is Buddhism. It's one of the world's oldest major religions, yet is still shrouded in mystery. Our team is ready to embark on a journey with you to discover Buddhism's significant past and troubled present. First, we have Haley Johnson, our resident religion expert. Over to you, Haley.
Thanks, Paul. Buddhism was founded by Siddhartha Gautama, who was from a very wealthy Indian family in the 4th or 5th century BCE. He left his wealth behind to seek enlightenment and found the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. The Four Noble Truths state that suffering is part of life, attachment causes suffering, and following the Eightfold Path can end the suffering. The Eightfold Path is a series of basic moral codes. Buddhists also follow the Middle Way, which states that one should do everything in moderation. The Buddhist teachings were recorded by his followers in the Tripitaka, which means 3 baskets. The 3 baskets are arranged into the basket of discipline, which includes instructions for monks, the basket of discourses, which is a series of sermons, and the basket of the higher Dharma, which includes philosophical discussions of Buddhist doctrines. Buddhism is divided into 3 schools: Mahayana, Theravada, and Vajrayana. Mahayana means great vehicle and stresses the spiritual aspects of Buddhism. They see the Buddha as a divine figure, and they believe in the concept of bodhisattvas. A bodhisattva is a virtuous person who postpones nirvana to help others reach enlightenment. Theravada means teachings of the elders, and that school of Buddhism stresses the intellectual aspects of Buddhism. They do not see the Buddha as a divine figure, and they believe nirvana comes when one entirely understands Buddhist teachings. Vajrayana means diamond vehicle. Vajrayana Buddhism emphasizes rituals such as recitation and meditation. They believe in a very close spiritual relationship between gurus and their pupils. Although the 3 schools are separate, there is no conflict between the 3, and they coexist very peacefully.
Thank you, Haley. That was very informative. Now over to our field analyst, Will Fontaine, who's at the Ekoji Temple. Will?
Here I am at the Buddhist temple of Ekoji, meaning Temple of Light. As it is considered rude to film their service, I will describe it. First, a background of the temple. The temple is Jodo Shinshu, which is mainly Japanese. They follow Theravada Buddhism, which was founded by Shinran Shonin. The people of this sect praise Amida Tathagata, a bodhisattva who said he will not become enlightened until everyone can. Since he is not here, it is believed that everybody will reach enlightenment. Because of this, Jodo Shinshu is the practice of no practice. The worshippers of this sect focus on meditation and the present. Anytime they worry about something, that they say Namo Amida Butsu, and they let it go and move on. This sect believes that there is no heaven, but a pure land, and nirvana is the moment that comes after your last breath. The service itself begins with kansho, which is the ringing of a large bell. The leader then says meditate, and the worshippers close their eyes and focus on breath. After about 2 minutes, they repeat the Vandanati Sarana 3 times, and what they say is, I go to the Buddha for guidance, I go to the Dharma for guidance, and I go to the Sangha for guidance. Afterwards, they chant a sutra in unison, and it is spoken in the language of Pali. Next, the leader gives a Dharma message, which is the equivalent of a sermon. In the message I witnessed, the monk talked about the inconceivable vows of the Tripitaka. He stressed that you must accept them without giving any interpretation, as interpretation limits the divinity. This is followed with the Bodhisattva vows, and then the Gatha singing, and Dana, which is the offering of thanks. The ceremony comes to a closing meditation and resuscitation, then Oshoko, which is an offering of incense, where people walk up to the front of the temple and bow to the relics. They then turn to the monk and bow.
Thank you, Will. So now we know the history and rituals of Buddhism, but what is it like to be a Buddhist today? Here is David Amini talking to a local Buddhist, Eric Lim.
Thank you, Paul. So now I'm here today with Eric Lim, a local Buddhist. So Eric, how do you think Buddhism affects your views and how you go about daily life?
I think it's important to remember that religion is one's own individual response to a divine realization. And so Buddhism has affected me less as it's acted more like as a guide as opposed to a strict rule of teachings and beliefs. It's my own beliefs that I've formed after realizing the teachings that Buddha has given me. So like my mom, take for example, she's very, very devout and takes the Buddha's word very literally. Like she trips over a rock or something and she'll go, "Oh, that's my karma, can't do anything about it." I myself am atheist Buddhist, so I follow the morals of Buddhism and the non-divine teachings of the Buddha and take it more as a philosophy.
How do you think being raised in a Buddhist household has affected your childhood?
Well, Buddhism is very heavily affected by geographic location, like how you practice Buddhism or even what teachings you learn about is affected by where you're from. So take for instance, Northern Buddhism is Mahayana, and they see Buddha as kind of a deity, but Theravada Buddhism, which is South and Southeast Asia, see Buddha as more of a teacher. So the way I was raised was more culturally influenced. Like I'm Cambodian, so I was raised in a Cambodian manner, as opposed to Burmese, which is this is the same Buddhism, but they have a different sovereign culture.
So if you had a question about your religion or something that, say, you've read, who would you go to for advice?
Again, religion is an individual's response to revelation. So the way I react to the teaching of the Buddha is my own personal belief. So another person is Buddhist, that doesn't mean that we believe the same thing, because we react differently and we have a different perception of the teachings. And however, if it was more of like a technical detail, I could always go to my temple and ask one of the monks who are very well versed. They spend their entire lives dedicated to Buddhism and the teachings of the Buddha.
Okay, so how do you balance the temptations of a materialistic culture of modern society with a religion that really emphasizes modesty and a release from desires?
Like you said, in contemporary society, there's a lot of focus on materials and what you have and what you don't have. I just usually try to keep in mind, all things in moderation. And I try to remember that there's always someone worse off than me. And so whatever I have, it's not what I don't have compared to other people, but what I do have compared to people below me.
Thank you, David. And a special thanks to Eric for coming in to talk to us today. Our journalist, Dornea Halatai, is out in the field with a developing story in China.
Yes, Paul. Buddhism in the present day has a conflict. The Panchen Lama is unwanted. The Panchen Lama is the second most important figure in Buddhism, right after the Dalai Lama. The Panchen Lama plays a key role in finding the next incarnation of the Dalai Lama. In 1995, Genhun Choeki Nyama was chosen by the Dalai Lama to be Panchen Lama, but went missing because Chinese authorities swept him into protective custody. The current Panchen Lama, chosen by the Chinese government, is highly unwanted by the people of Buddhism. They long for the return of Nyama. Protests have been violent so far, but no change has been made.
Well, that's all for tonight. The entire World Religion Spotlight team thanks you for tuning in, and we hope you have learned a lot. Good night, America. And remember, only education can set you free.